We're live, being
Are
seen on
we?
YouTube. It says we're live. The answer is yes. Terry is now going to wear a hat all the time. She just had to find her hat style.
I like my hat.
Also, she's getting a mullet haircut. We
I don't
determined.
know. I haven't decided. It's a hat. Why wearing a
Maybe the
hat?
whole team. That's our dress code now. Is you have to have a mullet.
To have a vote. Okay. All
No,
right.
we're not. We're not gonna do that. Welcome back to the weekly roundup.
Woo-hoo!
We got some good stuff today. It's a bunch of fun. Starting January strong. I want to shout out to quite a few of the studios actually in the YC have been doing different events and everything for January. We had a couple that sort of last minute put it together. I know two of the studios that I've been coaching with did sort of an open house or some event like that, knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
We had a goal at one studio, smaller market, get 20 new members signed up. That was like going to push them over their threshold. So they were in the profit in straight cash flow and they got 25. So that was good.
Yeah, I had a client that was 180. They had just had their open house, not this week and the week before. And same thing. They had their goal and they were 180% of their goal. They doubled what they had anticipated in new members. So they were, and
Nice.
here's an interesting thing that we talked about and I pointed out to them and the new owner changed is they only used to have 15 minutes between classes. And last year at their open house, they only had 15 minutes between classes. And,
Yeah, it's hard.
if you only have 15 minutes between classes on an ordinary basis, that's tight. But to have it during an open house, so we just
Even
across,
30 minutes.
yeah, we did 30. She's changed the schedule so that now there's 30 minutes between every class. And they did it for the open house as well. And I said, how, she said, oh my God, people love it. The teachers love it. The clients love it. Guess what else happened to there has picked up since they moved to 30-minute between? Retail. They've more than doubled the retail sales,
Hmm.
right? Because it's that she's like, yeah, now people they're mixing, they're mingling, they feel they're not so rushed before
Yeah.
and after class. So I had posted a while back in the Facebook group, we just launched it about what's your time between classes? Quite a few people have 15 minutes, and some people commented on that. I haven't responded yet because I was going to think about it and then I forgot. But I am of the belief that 15 minutes is not enough time, especially if you have a larger studio.
Yeah, we've seen it happen. Like it's not that it's not possible for that to work. It's just it's tough. And I think the major exception is if you have two rooms. If you have two
Yes.
rooms, then you can rotate through faster like that. But if you have one room and you're trying to maximize amount of time that you get to work with students, turn things over properly, like actually focus on sales and on community, then 15 minutes makes that very difficult.
It just becomes like this.
Yeah. What you find too is that then your students behave that way. Like you're going like this, so then they do that too. They come in 10 minutes before they get into the room, they come out and they leave.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's hectic in here, which is also like the antithesis of why a lot of people are coming to a yoga class. So
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna counter something you said about unless you have two rooms, 15 minutes. Actually, if you have two rooms, because I just did this with a client that has two rooms, is they still had only 15 minutes different rooms. But what we did is like we thought about it. It's like, so if one class ends at let's say 5, 6 p.m. in one room, then you have the other class in the other room start at 6 p.m. This
right, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
way
15 minutes can kind of work, but it's the overlap from the
it's
classes that
yeah.
allows that to happen.
So
Yeah,
because the 15 minutes was causing issues, so when we put it up, one class ends the same, then the other room class time starts the same as the other one ends, calculating that people are going to be in the room ready to go when class starts and then class ends. So there's not that so much of a rush overlap.
yeah.
But Carol, I liked I remember you guys did something at your studio uh, during COVID, then kept it post COVID.
Yeah, we kept an hour between. And it sounds, I don't know, I know it sounds like a lot, but it's 20 minutes that people can leave like with a leisurely amount of time. There's nobody rushing into their space in the changing rooms, like that kind of thing. Then the staff has 20 minutes where literally like doors locked cleaning, preparing the studio space, getting everything prepped and ready. And the next 20 minutes is the entry point for the next class. And we did that starting in COVID, but kept it and kind of works out really nicely. I
Mm.
like it. Yeah. Plenty of time to have conversations. You can really focus on the one class at a time. Yeah, we prep all the opportunities lists and our little whiteboard for who's coming in. You know, it's a nice flow.
Yeah.
I've always thought a perfect schedule would be one class, like 60-minute class, 60 to 75-minute class, every 2 hours.
Well, yeah, that's about if you have a
Like
yeah.
if in a perfect world, if for some reason that would work, start at 6 a.m. and you're just doing 6, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, like all the way 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. That'd be dope. You'd have a nice, just like consistent flow of people just rolling through. You would just put people on the clock employee wise. No one have to think about your schedule. You have plenty of space for everything.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, actually, when I was in Hong Kong, we had a class every half hour from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's insane. You have to have so much staff. Yeah.
4 rooms.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy town. However, they did have a lot of staff. I mean, it was a big
Mm.
operation. I've talked about that before. It was a huge operation. We had like 500 plus people a day go through.
Yeah.
And it was in a high rise. We had 3 floors, and they had one floor that was just for the locker rooms, check-in reception. That was just one floor, and then one floor for the 2 big studios. And then on the 7th floor of the building, they had 2 smaller rooms with
Mm.
just rooms there. But yeah, anyway,
So
nostalgia.
January, busy time, people seeing success. Reminder, you mark it when you're busy
D,
so you don't
so
get
you
slow.
don't get
Yeah.
Carol.
Every year we were. Every year we remind everyone. But this, we've got new people coming to the YC. This came up on a call recently where someone was saying, well, it's January, we're busy anyways. Like I'm not gonna turned off my ads, I'm not gonna do this thing. And you're like, no, like
No.
now put the pedal to the floor right now. Now's the time to go for it. You want to solve summer slump, which really isn't a thing if you get your studio working properly. The first major action is you solve it now. You get enough larger membership base built up now. So yeah, be the busy restaurant. Keep pushing on it. Um, Websites had come up in
Yep.
conversation this last week. Terry? What were you working on with websites?
Well, it just after a review, somebody saw it. It was word heavy. There was too much, too much, too much. It was a word soup.
Hmm.
And then as it was pointed out, is that if you're like I have a 27-inch, monitor on my desktop, which is, but if you're looking and keeping in mind, I don't have it on me, it's being charged. Most people are looking at your website on their mobile device. So then we've got, a screen that's this wide, and it's like we realize, oh, it's scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. So, the key is like, what is it? Why do I want it? And how do I buy it? What's the action you want me to take? And so we condensed a word soup down to like 3 sentences
Hmm.
that basically delivered all the impact. Now, they had some good stuff in there, like their core values. Speaking of which, mark your calendars. Sherry's going to be back next month on the 13th of February for the continuation of the core values workshop. Hey, no worries if you missed the first one, you can still get access to it. And that's going to be from, I think it's noon. Let me just double check so I don't tell people the wrong thing. No, excuse me. Yeah, it's noon 12 to 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So put that on your calendars. So one of the things he had on there was talking about his core values, which is what made me think about that. That's where that came from. And we really like that. So I said, well, let's move the core value, what you say about your core values, living your core values, to the About Us page. Work it in there. That would be a good place to have
Yeah.
that. And then I said, and I do like the way you framed it. We can add that to the landing page for the people for your intro offer, right? So they can see that. So that's the other thing too. And Carol, you can chime in here on this because you know more about it than I do, but I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with having the same information on a couple of different pages, right? There's no downside to that.
No, not necessarily. You can say similar things in a different way
Yeah,
too, just reframe it, throw it in Chat GPT and get an updated headline or something.
yeah,
But I think, when we're designing a website, the first thing people look at is what's above the fold, which is that newspaper term, which before I even start to scroll, what am I seeing at the top? And your pictures, your videos, those should tell right away, what do you do? We go to websites sometimes and it's like a field of flowers. And I'm like, what are you selling me right now? So, and then of course the headlines, if those are good, and they grab attention, then somebody might look deeper into the things that the details. But yeah, you're right, Terry. It's what is it? Why do I want it? How do I get it?
yeah.
Just get that top of line.
And you mentioned pictures, because the other thing that came up is they had a picture on their website that some people could interpret as not appropriate. And yet in the studio's context, it was appropriate. So then it's like, where is that line between having something on your website that reflects, because the person who said it was like, and I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure that picture is a picture of a student. It turns out not only is she a student, she used to teach for them. So it's 100% appropriate for them to have it on it. But what lens are you looking at things through? So where is that line between what is something that is truly reflective of your community and something that is either cultural appropriation or just plain out inappropriate? But even still, a long time, we had a client that is in Atlanta, Georgia. They're a pole studio. And one of the things they teach, their thing is they want women to feel they're sexy. They want women, they have a class like, how to, I think it used to be called something to do with how to be better in the bedroom. Right. So they were all about exploring women's sexuality and being you don't have to have no body shaming and just, I really love their vibe. So let me tell you, some of the pictures on their website could be interpreted borderline pornography, but it was from their studio.
They're
It made
much more
sense.
risque. Yeah, and
It was
that's their
very
brand.
risque. That's the
Yeah.
word. Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
John. Very risque, but yet that's that studio's vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's, I think, interesting.
I think that when it comes, so messaging on the whole, there's the words, a picture speaks 1,000 words, and then a video is like a funnel in itself. So those are your three categories of what you can manipulate. Other than that, it's formatting, right? It's the visual formatting of things. I think considering the photography or the imagery that you're putting on your website really does matter because it does speak a lot to the vibe of the studio. More than anything else, I feel like it's got to be authentic.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean authentic like it has to be a photo of one of your students in your studio necessarily. I mean, if you were to look at your website and you get a feel from a website, and then I arrive at the business and it feels completely different, that's the problem. I'm looking at your website to get a sense of like, what am I walking into? What is this? Am I interested in? Like, sort of subconscious stuff going on. We have seen that where a few times traveling, we'd look at a website and it was like beautiful, professionally done, obviously spent a lot of money on sort of the engineering of the site and the the design, etc. And then you go into the studio and it's like the studio is the opposite. It was dull and like a little dingy, like it hadn't been updated in a long time, etc., etc. So there's a major incongruency. And here's super controversial take. We want to have inclusivity on a site for the inclusivity of what your studio is. That's true. But then there was one place in particular that had like it was almost so deliberately inclusive. Like every single photo had someone of every possible background and every possible age. and every possible gender in every fucking photo, but then you go into the studio and it's nothing like that. Not even close. So again, like the vibe of what is being projected versus what the reality is, we're so far off that it
Yeah.
actually made the site seem a bit like a fraud, like a bit
Yeah.
it,
Bait
it
and
had it
switch.
had the opposite effect of what they were going for,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, like a bait and switch tactic in a way.
Right. Or it's just like it was done out of some guilt and like virtue signaling checkbox, not out of reality of what was taking place. So, at the risk of complicating it too much with all of this, I would just say like the site, it should be authentic to you and it should be congruent with your vibe. And so, like, where's that line? I don't think you can define it. I think it's really specific to who you are, what your business is, where your market is, etc. If you're a pole studio in Atlanta, it's going to look real different than a relaxative studio in Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not going to have the same visual aesthetic of the site. Cool. That's the whole point. First rule of marketing, be different early and often.
Yeah.
Different by embracing your uniqueness.
And that can be, I mean, I was on that topic is, what is your demographic is your demographic, right? So if
Yep.
your studio's demographic mostly looks like me or Carol, then those are, like you said, be out. That's like if you have pictures that don't, it's like you can't manufacture your demographic. You can't, like you said, interject different demographics that aren't represented at your studio.
Yeah, I mean you can bring inclusivity into a site
Yes.
and what you see by showing different races, by showing different ages, by showing different genders for sure, but proportionally and like how it has to feel organic and have a proper
Yeah.
flow and be congruent with like what's actually taking place in your studio, I think. But
Yes.
I think that stuff can be overthought a lot. To me, the big thing is what does your site say? So when we talk about like it's January, people are interested, they're going to your site, now's the time to put the pedal to the floor. The message of your site, every individual page is a conversation that's taking place. The
Yeah.
conversation is what I see, it's how I feel in terms of navigating down. It's what pops out to me. And then it's also the words. And there's two or three layers of that because, as Carol was alluding to, like you don't read a website the first time, you
You
scan it
scan it.
and you read a couple little things here and there. And then maybe you go back if it's good enough to draw you in. So the question is like, homepage is a great example where you go look at it and you say, like, what on here is absolutely necessary in the message and what's just fluff? And
Oh,
like
I like
what
that.
what can I consume instantly to get the point versus what's just excess because you're trying to be poetic or whatever. And there's also some design element to that too. I know, and Carol does a good job of this building websites for studios as well, where it's like chunking things out, in the site, like how you lay things out is matters. Expansive boxes, breaking it down. Let the page be longer instead of trying to condense everything into a small amount of space, etc.
I think also thinking of it in terms of your regular students aren't going there to find out more about you.
Yeah.
Right. It's
This is a place where new people are coming to explore, check you out a little bit. And if it's all sort of in, I feel like a lot of people design their sites with like the regular student in mind. Like
yeah.
here's a schedule, just go to the schedule, go check it. And it's like, no, we need to tell new people this is how you get started with us. These are the reasons you would want to start with us. Like,
Yes.
let's make it easy for you to find your way to a class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
such
what's
a good
important.
point. It's such a good
It is.
point.
Your website is a sale. It's a sales. It's sale. It's about sales. It's about getting people to buy your goal offer.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
mean, really,
getting them into a class in your studio.
getting them into a class.
Well,
And the
so
class,
let's go back to this specific example of like the core values. because core values, absolutely, you should have them as a studio. I think they should be publicly accessible. You should be embodying them in how you do business and how you communicate things. But if we're looking at like just a homepage, I don't know, and this might sound a little bit harsh, but I can't think of, for myself personally, any time with any business, with any product of any sort, where I would go to their homepage and see their core values and be like, yep, now I'm going to buy from them. Like, zero impact, just clutter in that specific context. On the about page, where I'm like, who are these guys? Like, what the fuck is this? What tell me about this company? Then maybe. Or if like it's a hyper principled company, then that stuff's interesting.
I still remember, and I don't know if I got this stat from you, Carol, or from somewhere, maybe at a Mind Body thing. I don't remember. Uh, is that I remember someone saying that your About Me page is the least visited page on a website. However, it has the most time spent. So the people who want, you don't have as many people going to your About Us page, but yet the people that go to the page tend to spend time on the page, meaning they're reading all the stuff. I just thought that was a very interesting stat.
That's from Mind Body. You know why I
Yeah.
know that?
Well, how do you know that, John?
Because
Because
I
you
built
said
it
it?
into their curriculum.
Oh, there we have it.
Right to the source, you guys. I don't know. No, but when we look at all boutique fitness and wellness studios, that tends to be what you see across the board. Is homepage is the most visited, of course, and then pricing page and schedule page are number two and three, not necessarily in that order. For time on the page, then about page is where it tends to win. But you've got to think about like the level of intention for someone to go to an about page. Like that is a page that you absolutely do not end up on by accident.
You're
And it
going there
also
for a
tends to have a
reason.
lower bounce rate for that reason. The bounce rate being like someone clicks, a page opens, and they're like, no, and they either back out or X out, right? That page tends to not do that. So you got to look at your about page as it's a hugely impactful page for sales, but it's not actually about you. Like it's your stories and it's about the studio and your belief systems from the perspective of answering the question that the viewer of the page is asking, which is, do I like you? Are you an authority? Can you help me with my problem? That's actually what that page is for. It's like the deep cut, you know?
Yeah.
And people want to do business with people. If I go and read Carol's bio in there and I'm like, Carol sounds dope, like that might not be the only reason why I'm going to come and practice at a studio, but it might be the thing that pushes me over the edge. It's like I'm selling myself through reading that. It's why people click on the bios of teachers on a roster in a yoga class too, and why that bio is like, I think, a wildly underestimated sales potential place.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when you said that, I was thinking about, okay, then your teacher bios, thinking about your teacher bios,
They're
maybe.
so important.
So how the
Class descriptions and teacher bios from a messaging standpoint on a website and on your scheduler and on apps are way the fuck more important than people think. And
interesting.
most of them, the class schedule or class descriptions, we've sped off quite a bit, but teacher bios in particular, I don't know, controversial take. This is totally off the cuff. I have no idea if this is true. I bet 80% of studios out there, the bios are shit. They're like not shit on purpose, but they're probably not even written in the same tent, like
No,
first
no, they're all
person
over the
versus
map.
third person. It's a fucking, one of them is going to be 1,000 words and one's going to be 200. One's like the person's talking about how they got a university degree and then found yoga and whatever, and the other one's like, I didn't graduate high school, but then yoga saved me from drug. Like it's like fucking all fucking over the place.
So, okay, so then what if we had,
Carol's just laughing.
I'm laughing because when we
It's
first did
true.
ours, it's like you put it out there like, hey, teachers, give us a bio. And you do come back with the array of whatever. You have the
It's
people that don't want to say
all
anything
fucking
all
over
over
the
the place.
place.
And
Yeah.
so it just kind of it's making me laugh because it needs to be targeted. It needs to be answer these questions.
Yes, I was just saying, give them questions to answer, and then you write the bio in this, so it's all the same voice, tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a bit of a formula for it, potentially as well. The That's the thing. Again, like this is the part that people get once we say it, but don't think about up front, and that teachers, I think, don't like to hear. Your bio's not for you. You are not the hero in the journey. I'm not taking your class because you told me a good true story about you, because I'm not trying to become your friend. I'm trying to find out if you're any good at what you do so that I can benefit from it. Like that's no one's gonna say that out loud, but that's what your students doing coming to you.
yeah. I just pulled up our doc on class descriptions and staff bios, and it's like there's formula. The question, the problem you had before you started yoga practice, teaching yoga. Yoga is the solution, positive results, guide, empathy and authority, passion for helping students solve their problem through teaching yoga, mission to help people, list classes their teachers teach, and the call to action, book a class with me. And it's like, make them about your customer, add in elements of your bio, help you to help your customer, sprinkle in elements about how you love to solve your customer's problem.
Yeah.
There we have it.
Which means what's not in there? Your star sign, if you have pets, which school you went to, go Raiders, like not in there.
No.
Not because we think that stuff's dumb. No, because it's irrelevant to the reader. It's irrelevant to the purpose of it. Here now we're on websites. We're way down the rabbit hole. If
Oh,
I
that's
was
okay.
building a yoga studio website today and I was going to go all the way on the marketing side, we would not only have teacher bios, I would build an entire landing page for every single one of my staff members,
Yeah.
especially the teachers, and I would drive insane traffic to it. It's a sales page. I would be selling Terry as the best motherfucking teacher you've ever taken a class from in your life. We would have, and then that whole expansive, then it would go further than that, and you would have the whole backstory and authority building journey, et cetera, that's part of that. Like there would be a video on there of Terry. There would be B-roll of you,
Read.
whatever, doing a yoga posture and teaching a class and helping a student. Like you got to think like from an SEO standpoint, how much impact that has, but then from an authority standpoint for your studio, then you're claiming the authority of your teachers for your studio, and you're helping them earn more authority in your local market. It's good for them too.
Yeah.
Imagine if you went to a studio and you're like, what class should I take? Beginner's flow class. Who's teaching it? Carol. I click on it, and
Boom.
then it's not just like Carol likes to teach classes and, is super flowy and zenny at the end and always sings a song. And instead, you have like this dope page with cool photos talking to you about what Carol can do, and has a video or a video ask even of Carol as a transitional call to action. It's like, hey, I'm super pumped to have you in class, and here's what we're going to do together. Like, if you go to a website and that's the level of consumption that's possible, and then you go to your standard yoga website, it's got nothing. Like, which one seems like it's more authoritative as a studio, more serious?
Totally. Carol's dope.
That couldn't be that cool.
Could it be that cool?
And the other, let's just finish the conversation about it, is pictures too. Pay a photographer, have the teachers come in and have professional photos, taken of them. It's worth
Yeah.
it. And, and have, like, I remember it was one studio, I can't even remember now. They did a professional photo shoot, and they did a photo of the entire staff, but it was so creative. They had like people standing on ladders, it wasn't just like your standard stock, everybody standing there fig leaf pose, right? And for those of you who don't know what
Big leaf
fig
pose.
leaf pose, right? Yes, exactly.
So good.
It was so cool because they had, like I said, they had like a stool, they had a chair, they had the ladder, and then people were, it just made it look so super cool. And I also remember, and I actually love black and white photography. I think it really is interesting. Everything was done in black and white. All the pictures were black and white, which was super cool. And I'm assuming everybody wore just like black because there was no graphics. They weren't dressed identical, but like what you would be wearing, Carol, like now, and I don't know, it just looked really, really cool. And then it just was totally in vibe with what I got from the website. And the whole website was really cool. So,
Mm,
pay to have a professional photographer come in I had a work trade. I had a photographer, in my
yeah.
community, she was a professional photographer. She did like wedding, the typical. And so she quoted me a price. It was worth about 6 months of yoga, and she was happy.
Yeah.
And we got some really good pictures.
And I think all like realize sticking on the theme of your staff, of your instructors, but even your front desk, depending on the studio and who
Yeah.
they are the aspirational identity for your
Mhm.
students, right? So getting the correct video and photo of them that isn't fig leaf pose or isn't just the like bio, like what does this say? You know, if you're just a bunch of blue steel, like, oh my God, that one turned to the left.
Oh my God, that's such a great movie.
No, but I mean, there's websites where it's like just a headshot. It's everyone's like this. And there's always one. It's like they're all the same color background, and like the one person who didn't show up in photo shoot day is facing this way and has like a weird background. There's always one. You're like,
Where's Waldo?
yeah, exactly. But the point, not the wrong of those photos, very beautiful, and doesn't tell me anything. Like you could literally draw a little stick figure face and put it there, and same exact impact. It tells me the same amount of information. So the photos, I think, realizing they're communicating something. Part of that is your students are like the one of the most aspirational identities are your instructors, is your
Yeah.
team. They already automatically hold the authority. So like take photos and video that show that like double down on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All
So
right.
go out and redo your website. No.
Go read your website.
Well, okay.
Actually, no, no, no. Practical advice. Practical advice.
Start.
Just websites are one of those things that people do and like set it and forget it. And then
Yeah.
5 years go by and they're like, I need to overhaul the whole entire website. And now they're like, I'm gonna have to spend 5 grand and it's gonna take me a month and it's this huge project. As opposed to like schedule in just a little tiny check-in on things on your website and just adjust stuff step by step. Do one page at a time.
Yeah. I could
After a conversation like this, you're inspired, go look at it and look at your homepage and be like, are there 3 sections on here that are totally irrelevant and fluff where I could add something else? Do I need to
um,
update? Could I update one photo to make it better? Like, just what's one thing you could do?
yeah, and to the point about the instructors and instructor bios, maybe you're not like, oh, I can't do a page for each instructor, but maybe go in and revamp the bios. And if you're not, and maybe use the picture they have, but at least revamp the bios. And if you don't have the link to their schedule, put that in there.
Yeah.
And if you want to redo their photos real quickly, just phones these days do pretty damn good. Just do a quick photo, at least in the same place in the studio, and start to bring some
Yeah.
congruency to it all. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I have to do the whole thing.
Well, these are projects that you can give to a manager or give to a staff member as well. Like they're not overly complex. But here's the other thought, like you can feed 2 or 3 birds with one seed, taking action like this if it's enough of a priority. because you could think about like, okay, every time I have a new teacher, I need to get a proper bio from them. I need
Yep.
to get a proper photo from them.
To
So
be part
it
of the
like,
onboarding.
right, you're actually, instead of being like, I need to update my website, think about, I need to build up my onboarding for having a new teacher. So then you build a form that they have to fill out that answers all the questions. It's going to be for their bio. You either give them specific instructions for the type of photo you need, or you have like you set up where in the studio and how exactly it's going to be, and you like formulate that. And then when that's done, then you just slowly work through, like send that thing out to everybody and just slowly work through it. It can take you 3 months to get it all updated or whatever, but like who cares? Nothing's going to collapse in the meantime. You've already
Yeah.
got stuff up and going. So it doesn't have to be such a huge thing. And if you haven't looked at, updated, changed, designed, done anything specific with your website in since pre-COVID,
Yeah, it's time to do it. It's time.
look, I would look
Yeah.
at it. I would look at it because I bet you there's a bunch of stuff we can do that's better. I I know we got more stuff than websites to talk about. The other thing here is websites are already have changed more than people know, and they're about to change again drastically because I don't think people are going to have the patience. People barely have the patience to go to your website. They're not going to have the patience to consume information on your website unless that information is really eye-catching and really easy to consume. So we're already seeing it, but this is where like having a chat bot on the site, having an AI powered bot on the site, having videos on the site, things like this. Like I know that sounds obvious, but most sites are not leveraging this stuff at all.
Nope.
And from a consumer centric viewpoint, I think it's going to become more and more of kind of a necessity.
Less is more.
Yeah.
And as always, when anything, writing anything for the web, anything, write it at the 5th grade reading level or below.
Yeah, simple language.
Simple,
Here's
simple
here's
language.
your outside of the box. If you're a new studio and you're starting and you're building a website right now, there's a few different ways you could do it. The outside of the box idea is what if you abandon the concept of a website altogether? Just build a funnel only. It's one page with minimal information, and the only thing I can do on it, other than buy an intro and book a class, maybe, is I can interact with like we use a platform called Video Ask. That's it. Or I can go to the chat bot. Like that's all I can do. I know it's a little controversial. It'd be interesting to test out, but there's there's evidence to support that that would produce more results per visitor. Until you test it, who knows? But like that's the outside of the box thought. That would be the other potential way I would maybe go with the site.
Yeah, okay. And then if you're really outside the box, we talked about this, I don't know, the last couple of weeks is, okay, do that and forget social media.
Right.
Don't even go there.
Right.
I don't know.
Or right, and or the reverse, because your site's such a simple thing and it's only a funnel, you don't spend any time on your website. And all of that time, effort, money, development, strategy, that goes into your social media instead.
Not
Harry,
TikTok,
just because you don't like social media.
not TikTok.
Oh, TikTok's not going anywhere, dude.
I know.
There's no way. They've already got a stay motion moving in. There's no way it's so ridiculous that they're
Let's
whatever.
just hope Musk doesn't buy it. I mean, I read an article about that there was an idea proposal out there about him buying it.
That would
But
be interesting. Like we're with all this anti-monopoly conversation. We're like, yeah, let's have him buy this one too. Like, oh my god. The funny part on TikTok is everyone's going to what's it called? Red
no,
app, red,
Red, yeah, red key. What is it?
something. It's there. No, there's some other
which
thing.
it like is the Chinese app owned by
Mhm.
the Chinese
Yeah, I
government.
know. It's the Bluebird. The Bluebird?
No, it's called red something. Yeah, it's called red something, but whatever. Anyways, it's like what they've created is the exact opposite of what they're claiming they're trying to change. Don't even. I can't. It makes me so. If I'm not American, so maybe this is slightly out of place. Canada's got their own
Yes, you
fucked up
are. I hate
problems.
to tell you this, you are American. Anybody on this continent is an American.
Okay. I
Dude, you're a
mean,
Canadian American.
yeah. That's true. Well, with all Trump's running his mouth about Canada becoming the 51st state, like
I like
Canadians, any Canadian I know is like, get the fuck out of here. Like, take off, you hoser. That's actually what they're saying. But if you guys tried to take it, we couldn't do anything about it. Like, well, sorry. I guess you get it. No, dude, this whole TikTok shit, the part what I was trying to say to you is I'm not American, so it's like I gotta be careful running my mouth, but just with the number of mass shootings and fucking all the fentanyl problems and like all the like real problems that are happening in the world that have no fucking anything going towards it. We're worried about being spied on from a fucking app. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something. It
as
seems
if we're not already.
so absurd. Yeah, no, all they're saying is like we want to be the only people that spy, not other people. Like, and as if we're not being spied on anyways. Whatever. There's my rant on it. It's the dumbest conversation I've ever heard.
If you don't want to be spied on, you can't use any smart device. I mean, reality is we've got these tracking devices that follow us everywhere anyway. All our data is out there anyway. I mean, it really is. So it's like we've kind of that genie is way out of the bottle.
I had to renew my passport. See how thick the passport page is now?
Oh
The
yeah.
Canadian passports.
Yeah, that looks like partly cardboard.
It's like a credit card. And it's got a chip in it. Anywhere my passport goes, they got me. Not that they didn't anyways, but like now they've like doubled down on it. You know, between your phone and your credit cards and your what are we even talking about?
It's the
Anyways,
only
I'm not even like save TikTok. Who cares? But just it's the dumbest conversation ever. Do some yoga. That's what we should be talking about.
yeah. Yoga.
Okay, so we have one more subject to go on. This is a
Well,
good
you
one.
really okay. Here's
Hey, on
the
the
other thing.
roundup, it could go fucking anywhere, dude.
Okay, look, I'm going to take it down this way because the other thing that there's going to be this huge thing about free speech because the far right is going after pornography and now is requiring on porn sites that you have to prove you're an adult, and they've specifically gone after a company called Pornhub. And it's just fascinating because they're doing it de facto at the state level because now they're like it will be cost prohibitive for us to do that, so they're just pulling out of those states. And it now says call your state legislator,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so in a way it's like they're achieving that because they're hitting them where it hurts. It's the wallet, it's the money,
Yep. It's
which
dude,
is
this is an interesting subject matter from
because
a
it's
societal, social, business level. Pornhub started out of Canada, I'm pretty sure, and it's in Italy now. And they do have checkers on things. But then what they found was the checkers for ages have to look at, and they did a whole study on this group of people, like 1,000 videos a day to check the age of the people in the videos. There's no fucking way that you could check 4 in a day, you know? So it's all bullshit to just be by their laws. They did a study on those people because those people's heads are like super screwed up. They're just like the way that they've been desensitized and stuff is wonky. But then the thing no one's talking about yet, like it's pop culture funny to talk about OnlyFans, but that's the gig economy continuing down the path, just like Uber and everything else. It's on its upswing right now. It's as high as maybe 5 to 8% of people between the age of 20 and 35 who have an OnlyFans account at this point. The
what's
top earners
OnlyFans.
are doing $250,000 to $400,000 a month in sales.
What's OnlyFans? I've never heard. What is it?
Think about Uber for porn. You want to be a porn star?
Well,
You just open up your own OnlyFans account.
well, or you could just show your feet.
Yeah, you
Oh,
don't have to do. You do whatever you want, but
It
people
could be
pay for it.
bikini picture. It could
No,
be whatever.
yes, I have heard of that. When you said that, Carol, only feet, it triggered a thing. I did remember reading something about that. Yeah.
He's like, oh, I remember the feet thing. That's what it
Because
was.
I was like, I was
I
like,
don't know what I was Google searching, but this thing about
see?
feet.
See? No, it wasn't Google searching. I was reading an article.
But no, but here's here's the point though. As Uber has grown, Uber and Lyft as an example, then we've seen a deterioration of good public transit in a lot of places.
Yeah.
It's just we're switching where things are happening. So maybe Pornhub closes down in a lot of places, but it's just going to see a surge. It creates opportunity somewhere else. It's going to move horizontally into another market. I would predict that's the market, the gig economy market of it. That's fucking scary. I have daughters. I'm like, we're having weird conversations that I didn't have to worry about when I was a kid. You know, this impacts. How does this relate to studios?
Yeah. How is it
It
really?
actually really does. This relates to studios way the fuck more than people want to say. Here's the like scary angle that I think is not a
Dystopian.
conversation yet at all, right?
What if they start shutting down your websites because you have scantily clad people in your pictures?
That could be part of it.
That's part of it.
The bigger concern right now
Is
is
it?
yoga studios and Pilates and stuff have managed to stay out of this compared to gym culture quite a bit. But the whole like filming the workout vlog culture, there are three sets of that culture. One of them is actually OnlyFans. The whole purpose of workout filming is to create following so that you can get people to your OnlyFans because you can't directly advertise that you can't advertise porn anywhere or things that are too far on that side. You'll get your videos taken down. So now you're a hot yoga studio where people are sweaty and wearing less clothing for the time of year. Do you, and most studios don't, but like having someone in there filming themselves now, you have to actually, beyond just like the privacy part of it or the distractive part or whatever else, you have to actually consider that it's part of a bigger potential thing that's going on. It's fucking wonky. Terry's like, my head can't handle it.
My head can't handle it. But
But
yeah, no. So okay, so if what you're saying, someone could be in there in the workout filming themselves in your studio, and it's really to get a hookup on their other website, is or on their
yeah,
fans only?
yes.
Oh, I can think of a couple of people that use
Same,
film.
the other places that happen. Here's the easy example of this to make it make sense. The core place that this is happening right now is in travel vlogging. There have been more travel vloggers come onto the scene in the last 3 years than there have been in the last 20. If you are if you have an OnlyFans page, you travel somewhere, you go to every coffee shop, you go to every co-working space, you go to every beach, you wear the bikini or the Speedo or whatever else, you make as many friends as possible, you be hyper social. And as soon as someone is like, oh, actually, maybe I would want to date that person or want to see them naked, they look you up. And by looking up your name, because you also use your pseudonym name, not your real name, they find your OnlyFans and you collect a few people going on there. That happens over a couple months. They move to the next spot. The travel vlog is just the guys to get people to the OnlyFans. And guess what they're building? Monthly recurring membership.
Yeah,
If you're 25 and good looking and have 100 people paying you $100 a month for posting your feet, like there's more. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but I'm just saying it's kind of insane, and it's this ties into so many other things. It ties into why people don't work at certain jobs in the same way anymore. Like there's pressure in these other weird directions. So I don't know.
yeah, that's
So,
yeah.
so going back to your question, is that possibly what's happening? Yes, that is very legitimately possibly what's happening. And in a weird way, the awareness or the ignorance of it might be creating the scenario where you have someone who is purposefully doing that in your studio to collect because let's be honest, who's paying money to these accounts on OnlyFans? Men aged
Most
40 to 50. Who's in a hot yoga studio?
women.
Men aged
And
40 to 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, not just men aged 40 to 50, but like this is a thing that's happening. So now all of a sudden you have a new reason to be like, when you come into the studio, no phones, nothing in the room, like all that, which we've always had for years, but like now leaning into that even more becomes, then you really do become the sanctuary. You become the reprieve.
that's, yeah, enforcing that one. Good luck. I mean, I know you guys do it at your studio.
Yeah.
Although
Oh
I
yeah.
take it to the extreme. I'll just straight up said I made like smart watches and Apple watches and stuff like that. I can understand phones. You're not.
Yeah, the wearables conversation is tricky with that one because people want the credit, you know,
Which
like
I that bothers me. Like you're just do your fucking work. Why do you need it to show on your watch?
yeah,
Why do we need
Okay,
to see everything that you've done?
I
Like
hear
that,
you. And if that's what motivates people to do it, then why not let them wear it?
I
I
know
get
that's what
that.
I'm saying. It's a
It's a
really
tricky,
tricky conversation.
it's a tricky thing. It is. I mean, totally get the no phones part. 100% no phones. But, a wearable?
Yeah,
disconnect, man. You need to disconnect. Everybody needs it
I
more
love
than they know. You and I will debate this, Terry, every time.
I love it. I love it.
I
No,
know.
I see both sides. I see both sides of it. I think this goes back to the conversation on the website of like, what is your imagery and whatever else? Like,
Yeah,
what's your vibe? That's what it has to be. Same thing. These sorts of policies in your studio, they shouldn't be only your personal viewpoint. They need to be like, what is the deliberate vibe of your studio? What are you going for?
yeah,
Who are you serving? What are you going for? What are you what's the discipline of what you're offering, you know? And just so we're really clear, disciplined practices, it doesn't matter like yoga, Pilates, fitness, hit, stretching, whatever else. It's the discipline of the
yeah,
practice is one of the most debatably important, but most attractive elements. It's what makes studios really magnetic. That's I'd fight for that statement.
yeah,
So having some definition and some discipline of some sort, it doesn't have to be harsh. The discipline can be do whatever the fuck you want, like just show up and breathe. That can be your discipline that you're promoting as well. But deciding and defining what that is very valuable.
okay.
Well, I think we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
We were going to talk about horses. No, I have no idea what we're going to talk about next. Equestrian therapy in your studio and goat yoga. We'll
Horse
save that for
yoga.
next. We'll
Yeah,
save that for next
goat
week.
yoga.
Tune back in.
Two back in. Goat, puppy, cat yoga. I just don't understand the appeal of goat yoga. I mean, just to me, I'm sorry. I don't care that they're tiny and cute. I don't want goats climbing on me, and I don't want to be in goat poop. And
I don't want any animal in a yoga room with me.
yeah,
Nothing against animals, just like to me, animal plus yoga is exactly the same as yoga plus nudity. It just doesn't make sense for a yoga practice. I I don't like it. Yeah.
too funny. All right. Well, post your comments below.
Holy shit. I'd be good. This is gonna be a
Let's
good one.
see. This could be a good one.
Oh my God. Who did we offend? Someone tell us. Well, okay.
I think we probably covered the gamut today.
Yeah, we did. So change your website and update your policies.
Okay. All right. And do yoga.
And do some yoga. Oh
Do
my
some
gosh.
yoga. Oh my God. Do some yoga. All right. We will
Peace.
see you all in the YC again. Mark your calendars. Oh, also, mark your calendars for next week. Forgot about this one. Oh, here comes my letter carrier. Where are we? Next Friday, the 24th at 12:30 Central, Arquetta, who is one of our partner who has helped sponsor the summit. They are a software company, and if you're looking for just more information, maybe thinking of making a change this year of software companies, they're going to be doing a live demo, online demo with us next Friday, the 24th at, what did I say again, at 12:30 Central Time. So the event will go up. We'll be sending an email about it. So if you have any, join us if you have any specific questions, and if you just want to see what their software can offer. All right. Have a good rest